Not going to lie to anyone watching, I've tried to record this about 25 times and I'm too prideful to actually want to edit a video, which would make it a lot easier. But at the same time, I want to get my thoughts out as they're currently going. So it's a weird state of affairs, to say the least. Look at my eyes. You have protests going on after the execution of George Floyd in 8-minute videos. Understandably so, people should be protesting. Peacefully, preferably. And Black Lives Matter, keep that in mind. Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to get too much into that, but they're being conflated with rioters. By the way, rioters don't represent the peaceful protest. Please do not conflate those. Those are two different things. Rioters are a result of wanting to unleash chaos, whether it's through Antifa or the police and authorities themselves or white supremacists. Not going to get too much into that because that's for another time, another video. Right now, I'm going to talk about who I think I'm going to vote for in the general. And I record this as of June 1st, 2020. It's important to date because opinions, like it or not, are subjective, which means they're fluid. If the person I say I'm going to vote for screws up, my opinion will change. And at this moment in time, I feel it's most necessary, and I say this with no pride whatsoever. It's Joe Biden. Everyone else my 8 subscribers, I'm going big on YouTube, have seen my videos, and I do not like Joe Biden. I do not like Joe Biden whatsoever. And the worst part is it's not Biden people or people who are lesser of two evils argument. They haven't convinced me to vote for Joe Biden. In fact, usually they straw man and tell me my arguments that don't actually exist, hence a straw man. And they shame, and I have a big problem with shaming people on their beliefs. I have a huge problem with it. It is entirely ineffective. And if you practice shaming in terms of voting, shame on you. I say that ironically, but necessarily. It's not even Joe Biden who convinced me to vote for him. In fact, I think Joe Biden is the worst advocate for himself. The person who convinced me to vote for Joe Biden, believe it or not, Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is the best advocate for Biden at this moment in time. The best. If Donald J. Trump was representing Biden on the campaign trail, Trump is so bad, he makes Biden look good. You want to know something? Biden's trash. Biden is so trash that when I take out the garbage and I bring it to a dumpster, I write the word Biden on it. As soon as I throw it in the dumpster, there's a bunch of other bags that say Trump, and you say, yeah, fair enough. It's a lesser of two evils argument. But in my opinion, based off of everything going on, Donald Trump has taken it to a new low to where I don't even think it's a lesser of two argument or lesser of two evils argument anymore. Just about. It still is in theory, but yeah, whatever. I'll get on with it. Look, Donald Trump has ridiculed local and state governments who have said, hey, our police force has gone a little too far. Not only a little too far, but too far. We apologize. We're going to make it better. And he said, these state governments, democratic state governments, far leftists, they're not even leftists, they're way too weak. Way too weak. Unbelievably weak. You know what you should do? Is you should have more control and you should have the National Guard there. Like, that's too far. He has told state governments to crack down on protests. That's way too far for me, man. Now, understand, everyone has different standards. There's people I've talked to where they say, I'm not there yet. And that's fine. Do not condemn people for not being there yet, even with these circumstances. Everyone has different lines that they're willing to cross. And those lines don't exactly line up. I talked to a guy I know online whose name is Christian. Totally cool dude, by the way. I'm surprised I didn't meet this dude earlier. He said, I understand your point of view and why you're voting for Biden. It's different from me. If he actually successfully is putting in legislation that would inhibit media from reporting stories or keeping someone accountable, that's going to get me to vote Biden. Fine. That's fine. That's fine. I understand that. I totally get it. I'm not going to ridicule anyone for their points of view. I would never ridicule or shame anyone for who they prefer to vote for, even Trump supporters. To an extent. I would challenge them, but I'm not going to be like, you're a piece of shit because you're voting for Trump. I'd be like, oh, okay, why do you feel this way? How can that be changed? Point being, David brought a really good point in saying everyone has different preferences. These preferences are fluid. Go from there. And at the moment, Trump crossed a line for me where he is essentially advocating for authoritarianism and fascism. Essentially. Like, he really is. He's not a free speech guy. He was ridiculed by Twitter. He wasn't even really ridiculed. Twitter said, hey, this isn't factually correct. The tweet is still on here, but it's not factually correct. Oh, well, you let me get away with 200,000 lies. And this one, really? Tangent aside, I'm not prideful in saying that I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. Again, my opinion is subject to change. If Biden screws up, I will change that. It's so much that Trump is so bad that Biden looks good. Biden has not made himself look better. To be fair, he did go on the streets and took a knee with other protesters. Like, that's a good representation. Like, that's effective. He's advocating for the protesters, and that is necessary. That being said, in terms of policy proposals, man, you really got to convince me that Biden has been breaking his back to make things better and fighting for the policies that he believes in, because, man, I don't believe that whatsoever. I just believe he's a better alternative than Trump. I don't think Biden's going to make things inherently good. I just think he'll make them less worse. And that's a pretty shitty precedent, don't you think? Like, look, there are plenty of arguments against Biden. He wrote the crime bill, which is why we're at where we're at. That's super shitty. My fear, and I don't like voting based off of fear, but it might, at the moment, it seems necessary, but Trump can add in orders, he can approve legislation that would inhibit the rights of minorities. So it's not a thing of Joe Biden is so good, it's more of he's not as worse. He wrote the crime bill, man. Like, there are plenty of arguments against Biden, and people need to understand that. Biden is not a good man, in my opinion. He is a better man than Trump, but lesser of two rapists, I suppose. So, I feel like I gotta vote for Biden. It's tough. This all being said, I will not advocate for Biden. I am not going to go online. I'm not going to talk to people. And I'm not going to say, you need to vote for Joe Biden. I'm not advocating for him. I'm not doing it whatsoever. I don't think I need to. Biden has not convinced me that I need to. You think I advocated for Bernie Sanders because he came out to me and he said, you know, what you need to do for instant change is advocate for me. Because I will make a difference. I'm not a good Bernie impersonist. I don't listen to him too much. But I advocated for Bernie Sanders because I believe in his message. I still do. Even I disagree with Bernie Sanders shaming non-Biden supporters, but I advocated so much for Bernie Sanders because on his merits, he was worth doing it for. I don't feel like it's worth advocating for Biden because he has a terrible track record. He really does. He has a really bad track record. You know, he worked with segregationists back in the 60s. You know, Bernie Sanders, he was only there during the civil rights movement. Pfft, whatever. He was on the streets protesting with other people. He got arrested. Pfft. And the Democrats were just like, no, we don't need you. We don't need you. And now they don't understand why things are going the way that they are. Anyway, I love getting off track and trying to get back on track. I'm not advocating for Joe Biden. I'm not going to do it. None of you can convince me. The only person that can convince me to advocate for Joe Biden is Joe Biden. This all being said, even though I say that I'm going to vote for him in this moment in time, I will not stop criticizing him. I will not stop. He deserves that criticism. It is warranted. I understand it'll turn off people from voting for Joe Biden, but he needs to be held accountable for his points of view and what he's willing to fight for, if he remembers. So at this moment in time, I feel like I'm going to vote for Biden. Again, this is subject to change. If Biden screws up, turns out I'm going to go third party. That being said, Trump can make it worse. He has made it worse. He's made it so much worse. Dumb fuck of a Cheeto brain motherfucker, orange. Just orange. I don't even have an insult, just orange. Because orange is funny, according to everyone else. So, just to end this, I'm currently going to vote for Joe Biden. But as I say that, I'm very conflicted. I don't want to. I really don't. I really, 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 really don't. As with many people. Many people say, this is necessary. And I'm at the point where I'm just like, yeah, this is kind of necessary. There are other people who say, hey, we shouldn't vote based off of fear. And I totally get it. I'm not going to condemn anyone who says, no, I'm not there yet. Why should you? Why should you condemn them? Them having their opinion means that the candidate hasn't done enough. Please know that. Joe Biden hasn't done enough to convince people on the left to do it. Again, Trump convinced me to vote for Biden, not Biden. Anyway, that's where I'm at. If someone gave me a ballot right now and said vote, I would put the bubble in for Biden. Like I don't like the precedent of, we'll take a step back so that we can move forward. It is necessary, but at the same time, as someone else pointed out, it can perpetuate the state that we're in. So if we have another neoliberal who's essentially Hillary Clinton 2.0, we can have a Trump 2.0. Like, this is really tough. It's really tough. Damn it. Damn it. I'm saying all these things out loud, and I'm conflicted, as opposed to what I have said within the last 14 minutes. Look, here's what I'll end with. Do not vote or shame. Do not vote or shame. If you were a Biden supporter, or if you're saying, hey, Biden is the lesser of two evils, do not vote or shame. It is ineffective in making your argument. It makes people more defensive. They are not relating to what you have to say. If you want to make your point in getting people to vote for Biden, you need to sit down, you need to have an open ear, and you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to. You have to. There's no debate. You have to do that. As soon as you start saying, hey, you just want Trump to win to prove a point, and then this is what we're going to get to, that's not what anyone is saying. That's not what anyone is saying. People who will not vote for Biden do not want Trump to win. Understand that. You need to have a civil conversation. And if that person says, hey, I want you to give me an argument based off of Biden on his own merits, you should sure as shit be prepared to give that. But if your only argument is, hey, I'm voting for Biden because he's the lesser of two evils, and I have nothing more from there, you should have the decency to be able to say, hey, I don't have an argument based off of your preferences. Now, if you can support Biden and you can make him look appealing based off his policies, go for it. But if you're going purely based off the lesser of two evils argument, you have to be careful. Because there is a chance you won't convince that person. And if you shame them, you're fucking yourself and you're fucking everyone else. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I like talking about this stuff. I go off the cuff, so anything I might have said will potentially be challenged, and I enjoy the challenge. Not only that, but, learning shit. Anyway, fly ya.